Hello and welcome to Your Point, My View, a conversational podcast where every viewpoint matters. I will be your host today, Bobby. And on the panel today, we have our originals. We have Chopper, Velisa, and Tonya. But we have a special guest today, someone that I truly admire and someone that's perfect for this particular podcast. So I would like to welcome to the panel my boy, Clifton Smoothly. What's going on, man?
What's going on, man?
How you feeling today?
Oh man, blessed. Happy to be here, man. Feel honored that you
Absolutely.
even invited me or even thought of me to even come on this podcast.
Oh, it's all good, man. When we were thinking about what we've been talking about for the past two podcast shows or episodes, I was like, you know what? He would be perfect. He would be perfect. So wouldn't have it any other way. Before we get started and get into an introduction, I wanted to touch base on what we were talking about past 2 months. Of course, you know, you had Mental Health Month, and then it was followed up by Men's Mental Health Month as the focus. And sadly, we just found out that it was Minority Mental Health Month this month in July. And basically, we have been talking about how there's a separation between mental health and mental illness. And also, we talked about how it was an impact in the Black community. You know, why we can't receive the assistance that we need to receive. And we're talking about everything from the socioeconomic standpoint all the way down to negligence, right? And trauma and things of that nature. So we have been praying and perusing around all of that. And now that we've gotten that out, we want a different viewpoint, right? So, again, it's a pleasure to have you on, man. Um, I do want to ask an icebreaker question real quick, and we can just do a quick shot at this. What does mental wellness look like for you today? And I'll start with you, Smooth. What does mental wellness look like for you today?
Oh man, I tell you what, it's I don't think it's like a right or wrong or a yes or no. I think you look at it as like a sliding scale or a spectrum. And for me, it kind of it's like an ebb and flow. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of gauge where I'm at, my mental well being on like listing my top 5 or top 10 things that I love or people that I love. And if I'm not in that top 5 or top 10, then I gotta do some soul searching. I gotta do some praying because it's hard for you to be there for others, to love others, to be present in others' lives if you don't even love yourself. Or if you don't have yourself listed in the top 3, it should be God, yourself, and then everything else should follow accordingly. Um, and that's just how I gauge it for myself.
Facts, facts. What about you, Tanya?
I think basically managing symptoms, making sure that um, if you're on medication, you're taking your medication regimen on a regular basis and not skipping anything. I think making sure that you have things that focus on your not only your physical health but also your relationships, because a lot of times you have triggers from external factors, and so you have to understand that the company you keep and your environment impacts your symptoms. So just making sure that you monitor like your medication, your physical aspects, your symptoms, and then also just your relationships, because those are key to, whether you're having a good day or bad day, and managing that and being mindful of that when it occurs. Like I said, self care is sleep, nutrition, activities, and people. That SNAP model from Roof Right Wear, and just keeping that into perspective.
Excellent. Thank you. Velisa?
Well, if I understand the question, you're asking what does my mental wellness look like
Correct.
today? And it definitely looks, I have a better mental wellness plan and outlook than I had 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was struggling. And since then, since my struggle, I mean, I'm still on that journey, but my mental wellness can say it is better than it has been before, and only because I am authentic in taking care of me. Now, sometimes do I fall to the side on that self care? Yes, but I have to bring it back, and I share my journey with my friends who help me along. I don't bottle things up anymore. I don't think I have to take on the world and have and take care of everything and everyone in it. And I am very conscious of what I put in my backpack of life. And we have done exercises where you have to examine what you're taking on. Is it yours or is it somebody else's? Do you put it on your plate or do you leave it for somebody else to handle, eat, take care of, or whatever? And I gauge my capacity to handle things and other people. If I don't have the capacity to deal with you, when I say capacity, I mean time, energy, or effort. If I can't deal with you at that particular time, I don't want to deal with you. And I have to feel good and okay about that. And that goes back to me just living in my authentic skin. And that has been a challenge because I try to be superwoman and I realize that all I'm doing is being a detriment to myself with that mindset. And since I've changed that, I have been on a better mental wellness. My journey is still the journey. And I think that'll be the journey until, I'm done here. It's always trying to get better at it so I can be who I need to be for everybody else when I need to be.
Well said. Well said. What about you, Lear?
I'll just piggyback on what Lisa said. Really, just really for myself, trying to be intentional about what I put in my backpack. Here lately, I've probably put more than what I should have, and so I'm happy to try to unload that, but really being intentional about taking care of myself and understanding that it's okay to take care of me first before I take care of, other people. Right. And I have a bad habit of taking care of my family and the things that I kind of want to do for self care, for anything kind of becomes the last thing. And so, really, I think this month, these last couple of months, really, in years past, to learning that you can't pour from an empty cup and you can't give what you don't have. And I think for me, I try to give everything. I mean, like I'll be stretched out on the floor still trying to give to people, and that's not the best. That's not the best thing for for overall self care and mental health. And so just trying to really learn, just not in my household but extended family, trying to really learn to just let them handle their situation, because if you tell me something, I'm going to take it on and try to solve it, and that's how the backpack gets heavy. So just being intentional about allowing people, as Lisa likes to say, not robbing them of their experiences in life, but allowing them to go through those things. And just me standing back, trying to really take care of myself. So um, still learning. It's a journey. It's a journey every single day with every situation that shows up or comes up. So it's learning, and it's continual, because I fall off a lot when I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take care of me, my own mental, health, meditation, prayer. But if something comes up, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can do that in 2 minutes, So just being intentional.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for your responses, everyone. For me, yeah, I think it's the same. Just knowing that I'm worthy enough to take that time for self care. Just like the consensus is, sometimes we get so caught up taking care of everyone else that we forget that, hey, we're human. We have things that will happen and it will cause us to run on fumes. So we have to make sure that we are our best versions of ourselves. And that's not just physically, but that's also mentally as well.
Spiritually.
So I've become better at that. I would say that it looks good when you can see the results of actually having a healthy space where you can just sit and reflect. You can think, you can document and journal, and you can just move on, or you can pivot if you need to. Whereas if everything's in chaos, you're trying to pull straws, trying to see which direction you should go. And I've been there. So I would say just recognizing that I have a safe space, I have a place that I can go to where I could do what I need to do, whether it's prayer or whether it's just meditation, motion, whatever the case may be, to make sure that I'm the best version of myself for myself first. Then I can be the best version of myself for others around me. With that being said, I wanted to get more into Clifton's story, or AKA Smooth. I wanted to get into your story because you have a story to tell, man, regarding how things happen growing up, right? So mental health, as you know, you and I discussed, is a pretty big ordeal in our community, right? And as men, we don't really get a chance to sit down and just talk about it, to find out what it is that we can do to get past some of those things. And some of it actually stems to childhood experiences. So, if you would like to share, what were those childhood experiences like? And if there were any signs of things that seemed off, but you probably didn't recognize, or whatever the case may be. How did you respond to those?
Okay, so I'm the oldest of three. Well, oldest of six. Oldest of six. I am 6 years older than my next sibling. So I was a single child for a while. Everything was amazing. My dad was in the army. My mom was in school, doing little part-time jobs, and I was just living a life. I was spoiled. I had my own gumball machine.
Oh
And I'm not
man.
talking about I'm talking about like the whole iron one with the claw feet going up. Oh, it was amazing. Um, yeah, and then after a while, my dad was fighting his own demons, so he turned to alcohol. Um, got addicted. Whew. It was very bad. He became abusive, um, to me and my mom, um, and they ended up getting divorced. And it was a crazy time for me then. Um, and all during that, I was molested by a family member, and I couldn't say anything. I was scared. Um, and then all while that was happening, like things were just spiraling out of control. My grandmother passed, and I mean it was so tough for me. And I kind of closed myself up to the world.
Take your time. It's cool.
Yeah.
Take your time.
I kind of closed myself up to the world. I became one of the biggest bookworms ever. Um, um, and all during this time, like I was reaching out to my dad a lot. He didn't want me, and so having that acceptance growing up is like something I always seek. Like even now, even though I know who I am, I kind of relapse because I want people just to accept me for me.
Oh,
I mean, I always thought I wasn't enough, and anything was gonna hit me like this.
It's okay, man. It's all a part of being transparent.
And, I never really talked about it. Um, I didn't feel like no one was interested in my story or what affected me or what I went through. And so I kept everything bottled up. I didn't trust anyone. I felt like everyone had a hidden agenda to like just take advantage of me. Um, and even now, I still hate. I'm not gonna say hate. Like I will go out of my way to like solve everything within my powers before I ask someone else. Um, but that kind of like what I went through then, it kind of like molded me and shaped me into the person I am today. Um, and then like all through grade school up to junior high, um, like I wasn't involved in sports or anything because I was either the same height or shorter than my peers until my eighth grade year. Well, the summer after my eighth grade year, before my ninth grade year, I grew 4 inches and then grew another 3 inches the following summer. So I'm a sophomore walking the halls, 6'5", and I'm like, I got a try out for basketball, and I ended up trying out for basketball, made it. I was a natural, like I just picked up things so quickly. Um, and fast forward to like high school senior, I'm like one of the top recruits in the state. Um, I could pretty much pick any college I wanted to in the state, but I chose Northwestern. And I think I don't think like I had like very many problems um, as far as like depression or like those intrusive mental thoughts from my childhood like really haunt me in college. Because I think I was like too busy like just being active in any and everything. Um, some of it wasn't good, but I felt like if I just stayed busy, then I can kind of like keep those thoughts away. And like basketball was like it played a big role like for me actually starting to play basketball as a sophomore in high school, like throughout um, college career and semi-professional career after college. Like I was always active, I was always involved, whether I was working out, traveling, playing an actual game. Like basketball consumed my life, and I never really addressed the trauma that happened to me as a child. And so like I'm guessing like it was just like just building up momentum in the background while I'm just living my best life with basketball.
You know, first and foremost, it takes a lot to be transparent in that moment because it can bring up uh, so many things that you don't want to revisit, right? But if we're going to unpack, you just have to do it like one garment at a time, right? So, as the panel likes to say, it's just peeling back the layers of the onion. You just have to peel it back, but you can do it, one at a time. So, thank you first and foremost for being transparent and vulnerable because that's a very difficult thing to do. Um, I do have a question, and then I would like to open it up to the panel as well. Um, you did mention, when a lot of those things when they were happening you turn to books, right? You just turn to okay, I can't get assistance from mom or dad due to the situation, so I'm going to dive into books, right? That was, I guess you can say, maybe your safe haven. Um, was there anyone that pushed you to do that? Or was that like an instinct thing for you to do as far as how you coped with that type of abuse?
No one pushed me to it. It's kind of like one of those things I just picked up because I don't know if y'all love books, but you kind of like you get the opportunity to like escape this world, escape this reality through a book. And so I think that's what I was doing.
Now, did y'all have any coping mechanisms growing up for the rest of the panel? I know I did. It was always drawing, or going outside to play basketball. Just try to get away from the the toxic situations that were within those four walls. I could always, art wasn't gonna talk back to me, right? I can make it do what I want to. I could take the pencil and I can shade just right. Or if I need to erase it, if I didn't like it, I could erase it knowing that I had the control and I had the power to do so. If it didn't turn out the way I wanted it to turn out, okay, fine. I can redream another one and I can just throw that away and put it to the side and start over again, frustrated and all, right? So that was my escape. What about y'all? Did y'all have any things that y'all turned to whenever um, there was a point in your life where you just had to like just fall back?
I think for me it was it's kind of total transparency. I don't even really think I've ever shared this with anyone. So this is probably my first time ever sharing this, and I don't think anybody even knew this, but my own personal my family. So I would sit in my room for hours with a pillow up against the wall, listening to music, and I used to rock that stuff away. So for hours on end, I would sit in my room with a pillow and just rock back and forth listening to music. That was my way of being able to escape whatever it was. It's almost like with Clifton saying, he was reading books and that was his escape. But for me, listening to just music and rocking allowed me to be able to escape. And that was something that my brothers and sisters, one of my brothers and one of my sisters used to do. And I really picked that up, but it became like it became a pastime. I didn't really have to deal with anybody. I could do that all day. And there were days when I just did that all day. And I don't think people really understood why, but I think I was is not I think I was doing that because I was suffering my own self with what is self-worth? What does that really look like, right? And so that was one of the things that I did. And I also used the mechanism of just shutting people out. It doesn't take me a minute to cut you off, you know. But that was just protective. Probably even so still now, because y'all know I'll cut somebody off in a minute.
Don't we all? Don't we all? Wow. What about you, Velisa? Have you ever dealt with well, what did you use as like a mechanism, if you had?
Oh yeah, I had one. Music was my music and decorating. So until and that has sprung into my adulthood, and I didn't realize it until as adult. In retrospect, looking back, that was my coping mechanism. Singing. I discovered that I had a voice in sixth grade, and ever since a teacher commented on my performance in the talent show, it was like that was the door to dreams or whatever I could use to just take me away from wherever I was or whatever I was going through. I was an only child. So music was my passion. I would sing and it would just, everything would go away. I mean, it was like, it seemed so much that I would sweat. That's how, because the energy, it was just like a release for me. I mean, I know the neighbors used to hate Smokey Robinson when he came on because that was I mean, I would just belt it out. I mean, it was just like a purge for me and changing things in my house. And my mom would come home. Can you not change nothing else in this house again? Can you stop? I mean, I'm 13 changing her house. And so that was my coping mechanism is change. Trying to fix it, trying to make it different, trying to make it work or better. And even so that those two things have transcended into my mature adulthood, and I do it to this day. I will when I'm just everything is just pushing in on me, I'll go out to my area and can nobody hear me, and I will sing for hours, and I would just feel so good because once again it's just a purge. Or I'll change something around in the house and people walk say they can't come in the dark because you never know where furniture has been moved because I'm changing. I'm trying to control things. So those are my coping mechanisms.
Tonya?
I think for me, it was just being around people, positive people. I always had to be around a group of people. That made me feel good, having positive people to be around. So I was involved in a lot of activities and stuff. So that helped me cope with situations when they arise. And sometimes we naturally don't think about the coping mechanisms that we end up gravitating towards, but it's really, like I look at what Clifton said, like basketball and kind of like the rocking and the singing, those are like right brain activities. And then also they're bilateral. So when you're talking about trauma, you're dealing with stuff that's bilateral that can help you process it in a moment. And so to gravitate more towards basketball, or to gravitate more towards the rocking, if you're going through internal struggles, that right brain creative stuff helps you. Like I love to draw too, and to do creative things. So having that right brain stuff helps you process any type of thing that you're kind of going through. So I would do a lot of speaking. I speak now on different aspects, but at a young age, I was going around speaking publicly. So it's just little stuff that you could do that you never think that brings that creativity into a fold to help you deal with issues like trauma, um, that we don't even think about. So when I want to say to you, Clifton, the experiences that you had as a child, that should have never happened to you. Just by you sharing it is a validation of you as a young person. As a older adult, you're like self-validating the experiences that you've gone through. And I think for us as older adults, looking back on our childhood, to be able to express that, to share that, is validating in and of itself. So we might have not have gotten validated as young people, but when we're older, we can self validate, and that's key to healing. So I commend you for sharing. I commend you, and just to let you know, we hear you. That's important that people know that. Um,
Hmm.
as far as their healing journey is concerned.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And thanks for sharing. Um, I do want to ask a question before we move forward. I know that you said that you're not the oldest. You were 6 years older, right? And so you had other siblings under you, right? And so the pressure of not spilling that out and taking that out on your siblings obviously was there. I've been there. 'Cause I have a brother that's a year and 5 months younger than me. And when you deal with those things, it's you want to. It's like you need something, or you need someone to take it out on. But then you look at the people that can't do anything kind of without you because you're their protector. And it's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. So you need that escape. And just like you, basketball was my escape. How did you said you pick things up? It was just God given ability just to pick things up and to adapt the way you did. And like you said, you basically became one of the biggest top prospects in the state at the time. Once you got to college, because when we were in college, I mean, there were a lot of things that were going on, there's different directions that you could take. How did you stay grounded? Because you and I both know, man, the grind was hard. The grind was hard, man. We had to be disciplined in our craft. We had to be disciplined in our work, on and off the court. How did you stay grounded?
Um, uh, I like to consider myself a good human being. And so I turned to books. Like I've always been gifted in the classroom as well. So before I started playing sports, I was always with the nerds. The nerds.
Yeah.
I was one of them. And so once I got good in basketball, like it didn't change. I was still hanging with them. It was almost to the point where they were getting bullied and I was taking up for them because now I'm the jock. I'm like the big dog on campus, so to speak. So that just carried over to college. I mean, you seen the people. We our basketball team. We literally hung around everyone. We didn't turn anyone away. At our table in the cab, we sitting with the outcasts. We sitting with the just any and everybody. Like we just and like that's how I am now. It's like I don't turn down the opportunity to either be affected by someone positively in their life or that I can affect someone positively in their life because you never know what someone's going through. And I think I kind of kept that in the back of my mind. Like, all it takes is one compliment or one smile or just one good deed. Like, you could, like, change someone's life and you wouldn't even know it. They could be, like, thinking, like, this is my day that I'm going to harm myself. And just by you seeing them and acknowledging them like, I don't think that was my main goal in doing that, but I think that in the back of my mind, that's something that I would want. So I think that's what helped keep me grounded. And on top of that, God, it's like I ran into a friend in college, like when I was wilding out in college a little bit, and she kind of like she bought me a Bible. I still have it to this day, um, and she kind of like she didn't force it on me. She kind of like steered me like, there is this person that can help you whatever you're going through. And like, I mean, I knew of God, grew up in church, but I kind of strayed away from it because like I had a lot of questions when things were happening to me. People who were close to me were getting taken away from me. So I kind of like I kind of had questions, and I was demanding answers from God.
I will say that the testament of your faith is something that would definitely get you through those trying times. Um, because sometimes just doing the physical just isn't enough. You need that validation from other areas. So I believe that position is everything. So I'm glad that the right people were positioned in your life during that time frame while you were going through to make sure that not only that you stay level headed, but just you still utilize your gifts for the greater good. And that was, you could tell that being on campus, you could tell that was in your demeanor, that was in how you walk, how you talk, and it was about the people that were surrounding you, your brotherhood, your circle. I got a chance to be a part of that, and I'm forever grateful because y'all never changed. Y'all never changed up on people, and that says a lot. It says a lot.
And
Um,
I'm sorry, even like with Velisa and I think, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I called you Velisa. I called you your whole name. Even with Lisa, she and I actually met at church, and that was the beginning of our friendship. And as I think about when we were teenagers and meeting, I think we depended a lot on each other, just for the normal things that you would be going through. Just sitting here thinking about it, I realized that there was a lot of support, that we were supporting each other through things that we probably never didn't even know about, but we were there, the hours, on the phone, the youth group, the youth meet, whatever that was going on. It almost seemed like I was stuck with her and she was stuck with me, and even you just don't realize, even in that time, as I'm thinking about like my childhood and those, those traumas, that there was always someone around that I could really, count on and depend on. Yeah. I appreciate you for that, Lisa.
You are welcome. You are welcome. I appreciate you. It's back right back
I
at you. Yep.
I think what
Decades.
Lear said is a good point, and I think sometimes now with social media and stuff, our young people don't have that opportunity or advantage to have um, positive relationships in their life. They just tend to go internalize with stuff, and sometimes there's the fear of talking to somebody or sharing stuff that, okay, my stuff is going to be out on social media. I just know, and just in my work with young people, that they don't have the support systems and the groups and the stuff that we had in place, especially like when COVID happened. It took kind of that away from them. So it's a struggle right now for them.
yeah, I agree with that too. And that's something that hopefully, as time goes on, they tend to they'll have to reach out, and like put themselves in positions, kind of like how we have. Just be vulnerable and just kind of just go with it, to see about getting that type of support. It's cool to make sure you're the best version of yourself, whether it's therapy or whatever the case may be. All great points. So moving forward, Cliff, I mean, you played ball in college, man. You're one of the key figures in one of the biggest moments in Northwestern State history back in 2006, uh, when we beat Iowa in the tournament. And then you have all of this, and then you graduate, and then you join the military. So let's talk about that real quick. And what was your motivation for joining the military? By the way, thank you for your service.
No problem.
Yeah.
So after college, I played overseas in the NBA and all that. So I tore my knee during a charity game back home. First major injury in my career, and I was kind of lost. Um, Funny thing is, that's how I met my wife. I think if I never would have tore my knee up, I would probably still been overseas. I don't know. I probably would have settled down somewhere else. But everything happens for a reason. Um, my dad was Army. Three of my uncles on my dad's side were Army, and I probably had like 6 or 7 cousins on my dad's side who were Army. So in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't care what I do in my life, but I know I would never join the military. So I'm there with my wife. We find out we're pregnant, we're having a baby. And I'm just like, man, what I'm gonna do? And so I did some soul searching, some praying, and I kind of got steered into joining the military. So I joined the Navy. And I'm going through boot camp. My wife is like 7 months pregnant, big as a house, ready to pop. And I'm away, and I'm just like, just don't let her have a baby while I'm at boot camp. And she kind of held out and had the baby. After I was going to a duty station, I was able to see my first baby being born into this world. So I never thought I was going to join the military, but I did.
I think that just you just don't really know what what God has planned for you, right? Because we plan, but he can unplan all of what we're planning. So when I hear that, that's what I think of.
Yes.
He laughs at our plan. He laughs at our plans. He's like, yeah. You think? You think he's gonna? Now with military, it does comes with its ups and downs, right? As far as that, what was there a lot of that happened during your tenure in the military?
Not so much on the military side. Um, I mean, it's just like any other job as far as like politicking and cliques, and you're not getting this advancement because this person and so forth. It was more so that those childhood traumas started to rear its ugly head during my time in the military. Um, I'm not sure if it was a trigger or what. Um, I tried to recall, and I can't really think of anything that will probably bring it on. But yeah, it hit me hard, like very hard. I ended up telling my dad. That's when I told my dad at the time. Um, he was mad at first, in the sense that he wanted to. I guess I kind of robbed him of the opportunity of being there for me as my father. But he understood me being a scared child or afraid of how people were going to receive that information, or I mean, just the unknown. Um, I was diagnosed with PTSD after, I did a ton of sessions, going to therapy sessions, and they diagnosed me with PTSD, insomnia. I still suffer from insomnia. I think I probably only slept for like 30 minutes last night, and I'm running on fumes now. Um, but like just during that whole period of like those childhood traumas just coming back to haunt me and going through those sessions, because it took so long, because I'm not one to speak about it or speak about what's bothering me, because I don't want to worry someone else. I don't want to go through the fear of rejection. And the whole time I'm going through medication, and the medication they put me on, they got me feeling like a vegetable. Like I don't know my up from down. It's like it just had me so numb, and it was just tough, because like the whole time this is going on, my daughter's, I'm gonna say like 3 at the time, 3 or 4, and my beautiful wife, bless her soul, she put up with a lot with me. It's like I'm snapping on her and yelling at her for no reason, and that's That's just a part of like just that journey that a lot of people kind of overlook, or the loved ones who have to like help you pick up the pieces or deal with the mood swings or deal with the unpredictability of like just your mental state and walking on eggshells, not knowing what to say to you or how you receive it, or like just trying to break through your shell that you're putting up. And it's like so many things that I put her through, and she's truly God sent. Because man, if I could lasso the moon and bring it to her, I would do anything in my powers as long as I have air in my lungs to make sure that she's comfortable, because she dealt with me and walked with me through my worst times.
I appreciate you highlighting your support system. And again, it's difficult to talk about those things, especially when you're talking about being diagnosed with PTSD and reflecting on what had happened in your childhood. And then, you're married, you have a child, and now it seems like everything that is happening outside of the violence part, everything that happened to you as a child, as far as the verbiage and the verbal abuse or whatever, because of this diagnosis, it seeps into your marriage, right? And I do want to highlight your support system, which is your wife, because um, being married is not it's not, and sometimes it's peaches and cream, but sometimes it's not. And it takes a lot of resolve and, spiritual and mental stability to be able to see the good in someone, even though physically what you see is something that is not in alignment, right? Um, so, can you give a specific example of a time where you realize, you know what, my support system is bar none the best. Like my wife is the best when it comes to this. Can you give a specific example? There are
Um,
probably so many to choose from, but
I know, like I go in these spells, and I think my daughter kind of she got that from me. I kind of hate it, where like there's nothing she's doing. Like it sounds bad even gonna say this out loud. It's like I don't want to talk to anyone. Like I just want to be to myself. Um, like like she would literally like sit next to me and like just hard down speaking to me, and I'm just like I won't even acknowledge her. Like I'm just in my own world because I don't want to talk. And at at first, I could I couldn't tell during it, but afterwards, like she was just devastated because she's my helpmate, she's my wife, and she's trying to be there for me, and she's trying to knock down those walls to get to me just so she can just like do something, because it's hard being there trying to help someone and you feel totally helpless because they don't want your help. And like just seeing her cry, um, after I then came back from walking or just doing whatever I was doing, like just seeing her as an emotional wreck just there, and I'm just like, man, I have to nip this in the bud because this right here, what I'm doing to her, it's not fair to her. Um, at least to me, that's how I thought. It wasn't fair to her. Even though I wasn't intentionally trying to do that to her, I knew that I really needed to work on self so I could stop that, because that, what I'm doing to her,
man, that self realization is something else. I tell you, when it hits that conviction, when it hits hard. Um, Tonya, because I know that you're licensed. When that happens, like when a person gets to that point, what can happen? What can't happen? Like what's the fine line there? Because obviously Clifton handled it well, but he's like, "Hey, this is my motivation for me to get better."
Yeah, and that's a great motivation for him. I think he had a lot of insight in that particular situation. I think you want to also understand that when you're dealing with trauma, the brain is a remarkable mechanism, um, and that some of the things that happen in childhood are suppressed. And so the brain, when it gets to a point of being having stability, is able to begin to process. And so some of that was coming out, um, although Clifton might have seen as it being directed towards your spouse, they were seeing you go through that, and but that had to come out. It has to come out. And so what his symptom was dissociation, and so being able to understand that, that giving that education to your spouse is very key, because that spouse is going to need to have that support to help you and to really help themselves to see it, because they're experiencing the trauma with you in real time versus you slowing up as a child. you know like I said, the brain is a beautiful thing. It stops that process until you're able to stably mentally handle it. So now that you're older, you're able to get the support needed to be able to process that. So it's not uncommon for people to begin to process that at a later time, and the trigger started to happen. So it could be certain things. It could be anything in the five senses that might have occurred, as you were younger, that was suppressed, that the five senses coming to fold when you were in the military. Well, those things happening, it could be a smell, it could be a sound, it could be little things that are happening that take you back to that time, and then you're able to process that memory, or take it into play. And so some of those times, I like the fact that you did a lot of bilateral stuff, walking, able to process. But it's hard for our loved ones to understand that, because our brain is not there, in the moment. Like I said, um with trauma, the brain, it's so many different techniques now that are helpful, that are non-medicate, medical, medication given, that can help with trauma. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. And I just think having that support, for both, because anytime you have mental health issues, it does affect the family. It's a trickle effect. It's like a putting a pebble in a pond. It trickles out. So I think a lot of times you think, oh, it's just a person that's going through it. No, it's everybody in the family going through it, from your daughter who is observing this, and the connections. And so having that education for everybody is going to be crucial, not only for the individual's recovery, but for the family's recovery.
I just want to touch on one thing with the in your stories. Just it really hits home, especially for me, and because I do have loved ones who suffer, and for me, as someone who was trying to be that spot where your wife was in their lives, and not knowing and not understanding, and feeling frustrated, it wasn't until I started getting the education for me, and that's when the self-care came in, and I was able to understand what that person was, what was going on, not what they were going through, because I'm not in their place, but understanding that I can't change it. All I can do is provide that support system when it's needed, because a lot of times it's not even wanted. And that was challenging in itself. And I just think education for everyone involved is so important, because we stop blaming and stop wondering why you just can't, and understand why they just can't. Because there's a reason. And like you wanted to stop. Not that it was easy. And I'm sure there are plenty of people even listening who want to stop hurting loved ones, who want to get better, who want to heal and begin that journey. And it's challenging. And then there's those loved ones who are trying to provide that support to those people. And that's challenging in itself. And education on both parts, acceptance, acknowledgement, and education is key to the journey beginning and the healing to begin. And I just say that from a point of true experience. And I'm still walking that walk today.
So Lisa, what is the one thing that you did, you know, to help? Like I'm trying to remember, like Was there like a class? Wasn't there something that you were attending to help you? Um, what was the name of that organization?
NAMI, NAMI was one of them that has helped me really dial home the support groups and stop internalizing things. But the first step in the education was understanding what goes on in someone's brain and how that's functioning, how that's impaired and impacted when they're going through whatever it is, PTSD, whatever the challenge is for them. And I have to say, and I have to give a shout out to T. I, she gave me that she threw that lifeline that began pulling me to shore, you know, and getting on that boat that we talked about last podcast, and we're, you know, just that was very key. It's having talking, because had not if I hadn't talked, if I hadn't shared, and like you, Clifton, being vulnerable and sharing that what's going on inside you that's precious to you, and people may not understand. And I'm a person who I'll say all the time, I got me all day long. I don't need anybody else to do something. But guess what? We all need other people. We all do. I mean, that's just the nature of our makeup. And me understanding that need and getting to the end of my rope, T was that lifeline. So that's the one thing that saved, was my saving grace. And I say T, I mean Tonya. She's on she's on the podcast. I call her T. So
Um, and the key for that is, you can't be the answer for everybody, but you can guide people to where they need to go. So, having that information, saying, hey, go to this conference with me. Hey, here's some information. Here's a referral source. Hey, let's do this together. Oh, what, because sometimes, you know, education ain't going to happen overnight. And sometimes you have to go and walk people through that process. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Lisa didn't go on past the process. I'm trying to catch up with her. I'm like, wait a minute, bring me here with you, because you didn't got stuff I don't even know about. So, but when you open that door up to somebody, they could just take it to a whole nother level. So, the key is knowing the resources, providing them any that education, and Lisa is very right, knowing about how things impact the brain, how mental health issues impact the brain is key. I think if you don't learn anything else, learn about your brain, because it's a beautiful thing. You don't realize that certain parts of the brain, when trauma comes into it, that part of the brain expands and it makes you more susceptible to mental health concerns or environmental concerns when they come, even physical health, when it comes into play. So knowing about your brain is key. The brain is the operating system for your whole body. So knowing about it is key to your success, just and to your wellness.
That is so good that you said that, and that's a great segue into something that Clifton is doing now, um, and I want him to elaborate more on that. Um, and it's your journey, and it's something that you have started. So let's talk about duty calls, because this is something that you're very passionate about, and the world needs to hear more about it. So
All right. So I started duty calls. This is something that God kind of placed on my heart. Um, Kind of gave me that mission to be the ambassador for. So I created this channel. I don't know if you can see the colors there. So like each of the colors
Mhm.
represent that journey that you make when approaching mental health. And I made it geared towards military veterans who suffer from mental health. And but I didn't like just seclude it, or I'm only targeting veterans. I'm talking to anybody who's like really suffering or looking for resources or looking for a safe space or like-minded individuals. Um, and what I'm doing is I'm kind of like finding a hobby or finding something that you're passionate about to kind of direct their energy to. And mine happens to be motor vlogging. Um, I love getting on my bike when I can kind of I can kind of sense when I'm being triggered or I'm not feeling my best or the best version of myself, I just hop on my bike, go get some wind therapy. My wife is totally supportive. She understands. And it doesn't have to be for long. I can go for like 10, 15 minutes and I'm good. But other times I actually plan and like go to different events and meet people who we went to college with, like my guy Ricky with Unleash the Peace. It's just a way of me kind of like recognizing who I am, recognizing when I've been triggered or I'm not presenting as the best version of myself, that I can go do something. And I can go to my wife and be like, hey, I'm not feeling my best right now, or I need to take a ride. And she automatically knows, okay, go ahead, baby, go ahead. Do what you gotta do. Take as long as you want. And I know she got me, and I know that she understands, and I know that I'm communicating that with her now. So I love my channel right now. I love everything that's involved with it. I love planning. I love doing research on different organizations, different programs. Um, I love like just getting all my gear, my camera gear, making sure all my batteries is charged, setting my bike up with all my cameras, setting my helmet up with my cameras, just getting that footage and just coming back and just unloading it on my PC and just like going through it. Like I just love the whole process, and it feels good to me, like just doing something, like just seeing the process through. And I don't know, I just find great joy in it. And like when I'm not doing it, like God nudges me. He's like, I've given you these tools, I've given you this mission. You need to go forth with it. And it's funny because like he'll send different people in my life and they all say the exact same thing. My mom called me out the blue one day and she's like, Junior, what you doing? Nothing, I'm just watching TV or studying or something. It's like, well, whatever you're gonna do, son, you just need to be consistent with it. If you're gonna do that channel, you need to just go and be consistent with it. And then like a day later, one of my friends, Kerwin, called me like, "Hey man, what you doing, man? When you gonna put out a video, bro? You gotta be consistent." And I'm just like, it's just like I'm hearing the same message from everywhere else, and like God is like, "Son, I give you all the tools," and it's like, okay. But like this channel is my baby, and I want it to grow. I'm reaching out to a veteran organization out here in Lafayette. They actually do. He actually has doctors that are like affiliated with the staff, and they are actually doing research on doing surgery to help with PTSD symptoms. So I think will be a great partnership. I've been working with him since I want to say for like 4 years now. Not with that, but I've just been working with him on different tasks and whatnot. But yeah, I'm very excited. And Bobby didn't tell you this, but this logo, he helped me with it.
All right, Bobby.
I brought him my vision, and he created a masterpiece.
All right, all right. No, we didn't. Did you tell us that, Bobby? Did you share that rather?
No, I did not
No,
share
you
that.
didn't.
I
Okay.
didn't
Oh,
share that.
Wow, wonderful.
Yeah, no. It's all about my boy. That's why I was like, nah, I'm a person that sits in the background. I'm cool. I'm chilling.
I
I'm
like
Hey,
chilling.
it.
can you move to the other side? Because we see go the other way. The other way. Yeah. So what is that duty cause? Okay, because we couldn't
Yeah.
see that part of it.
There
Okay,
we
there
go. I have the decal up right here.
Oh man, that's cool.
nice. All right.
That's nice.
So it's just
Look at
it's
y'all
something
doing your
to
thing.
Oh, that's a
huh?
helmet. The brain is a helmet. Because I see
Yes.
the
That's
strap.
pretty good. That's tight.
Strap.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
like that. I like
And you
that.
said the colors represent what, Clifton? What are the colors representing again?
Oh, that's
Those
nice.
are so that's blue, green, yellow, and red. Those are like the stages. Um, Obviously, blue is where you want to be at. Red is the danger zone, and it's kind of like the journey that you take. because you're kind of taking those steps towards mental well-being. So, and I kind of wanted to incorporate those colors. I didn't, I didn't even think he was gonna do it like this. I just kind of like brought my vision. Like I want these colors to kind of represent the transition from I'm not in a good place to now I'm in my happy place, and he kind of incorporated everything else. And yeah, I'm very happy with it.
Good for
Oh,
both of you. Good for
the
you.
merge looks nice. We're gonna have to, reach out, slide over so people can, see your tag again. So we make sure that people are going to your site. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
Duty
duty
call.
calls,
Duty
duty calls.
calls.
And I would say this about because I have one more question I want to ask before we end, but I would say this about Clifton. When he came to me with this, like you can tell the passion that he had for it to get it started was it was motivational to me because I was at a down point in my life too where I just lost like all of my artwork, all of my digital artwork. So it was like, man, I can't recoup it. It was a mistake on my part. There's nothing I can do about it. I was at a pretty low spot, and God sends me smooth, you know. So, it's funny how God just puts things in position. Position is everything. So, even when you feel like you're not operating in your gift, God will send you what you need, whether it be words of confirmation or affirmation, or just the physical tools to get it done. And it's up to you to make that decision. Say, "Hey, I'm going to do this because this is what I was called to do. It's a part of my purpose. It's a part of my purpose." So I commend Smooth for doing this, and I think it's amazing that now that I hear your backstory, it makes so much more sense to me now. I appreciate it like 100 times more because you taking even the details and what you do to set up or the recognition to, hey, I'm gonna go let someone know what I'm doing because I'm not in a good space and be safe enough to do that. Down to the time, down to you just setting up your equipment and just having that love and that passion to do something, which is something that was stripped from you whenever you were younger. Like being able to do it now on this type of platform, man, I'm not gonna lie, it gets me in the feels, man, because not too many people have that opportunity. They are searching for that outlet, right? But not only have you found it, you're taking advantage of it. One more thing before we get out of here, man, and it's something that's been kind of tugging at my heartstrings a little bit, was the reconciliation with Pops. You and I talked about that a good while, right? So I want you to kind of elaborate on that because, again, growing up, now that I know the backstory, it wasn't the best situation. However, I've personally been in a situation where I was able to reconcile with both of my parents. I was able to ask for forgiveness, and they were able to ask me for forgiveness, and we were able to bond. And I was able to love on them and give them their flowers. So I kind of wanted you to elaborate on that real quick.
Oh yeah, that's my dude, man. Rest in peace, man. I lost my father last year. Um, Before that, like leading up to the string of bad health, like we became very close. I mean, he just kind of just reinforced to me that he never felt that way, even though that's what I felt. He kind of reassured me that he never stopped loving me. Um,
That's okay. That's the validation that you need, to heal. And I think acknowledging that and that he was able to give that to you is a blessing.
man, yep, my dad was my Superman.
Clifton, can I ask a question? Were you at any, so am I understanding the relationship, because it got great at one point. Were you estranged when you didn't have any conversation or contact with your dad at some point along your journey?
I
Or you
mean, um, like I would have. It wasn't consistent. Like the only time I would answer his phone calls is my mom be like, "Hey, your dad's been calling you. You need to answer the phone for him." And it's like during that time in my life, I cut off my dad's entire side of the family. I didn't talk to anybody on this side, and
I can relate because I did I went through the same stint of like saying, you know what, if no one's gonna listen, I'm just gonna shut down. I'm not talking to anybody about anything. It because why waste my breath? Either A, you're not gonna believe me, and then you're gonna start taking sides, or B, you're gonna get angry at me for not telling you sooner, and now I have to relive this trauma all over again. I don't want to deal with it. I'd rather deal with myself and go do something other than listen to you at that. And I don't need any outside influences encouraging you to abuse me any further. So I'd rather just shut it down before it even starts. You know, it's a tough place to be in, and especially as a young man. You know, it when you start processing that stuff, you just get upset. You get mad because it's like, man, why didn't I just challenge him like I should have? Why didn't I just say what I needed to say? But we all know growing up in those types of households, we were taught not to say anything like that. If we even said the word lie, we getting broke off something. You know, so it's like we're not in those environments where we didn't have freedom of expression while being respectable. It really hinders us. That's why now that we have children, we can do that and we can still say, hey, here are the expectations. You can still express yourself and be respected, right? At the end of the day, the parents are going to make the best decision because we are the parents, but we're allowing you to go through this process because you have feelings, you have emotions, they are
yeah,
validated, and we want you to feel validated in this safe space. And that's the type of conversation that now, you know, when we look back, we can have those conversations with our kids now, but looking back, we wish we would have had that. Like imagine how much further along we would be on a healthier journey had we had that, you know. But they did the best they could with what
yes,
they were given, and that's another thing that I had that we have to, you know, um, come to terms with. They did the best with what they did. It's not an excuse by any means for abuse, verbal, spiritually, mental, whatever. It's not an excuse. But at the end of the day, that's what that's what it comes down to. They did the best with what they had. Um, one last question, and then we gotta get out of here. If you could go back to, if you could look back at your yourself in the past, what advice would you give, Smooth? What advice would you give your younger self?
to be brave and let Superman be Superman, which is my dad.
That's respect. That's respect. I love it. Man, this has been. I didn't expect it to go the way it did, to be honest, because I was like, man, it's gonna be a lot of tears flowing. I already know I'm trying to hold it together, but uh, but I really, really appreciate you, Smooth. You already know you're my boy. I appreciate you taking the time out to share your journey with us. Um, I would like to ask, how can people communicate with you with duty calls? You know, whatever your handles are, whatever the social media platforms you have, please share those because we're going to make sure we put them in the descriptions too. But go ahead and share those for those that are listening.
All right, so on YouTube and IG, you can find me at Duty, DUTY _ calls, CALLS 30. It's duty calls 30 on both.
Excellent. Look for the logo, just in case. Look for the logo. Can't miss it. Can't miss it. And are there any additional resources that you have to share regarding what people can do, especially with veterans? You know, do you have any additional resources that you would like to share that may have helped you in your journey?
The biggest one, 988 from any phone. That's the veteran crisis line. If you're having suicidal thoughts, if you want to just be connected with a VA sponsor or a VA rep to even set up like therapy sessions, like that's your one-stop shop. Um, I mean, it's amazing what they do, and it's 24/7. So there's always someone that's going to be on the other end.
Excellent, excellent. And I know we have other resources that we're going to add to the description as well. NAMI being one of the main ones that we add. I know BetterHelp has helped out a lot of people that I know personally. That's one that we focus on as well. Um, to the rest of the panel, is there anything that you would have as far as final thoughts? And we'll start with Chopper.
No, I just want to say thank you for sharing your journey. Definitely eye opening. Um, and it just reminds me of making sure that I'm checking in with myself, my friends, and my family. So I really do appreciate you sharing your story. It it really just opened up a whole nother different level. We've had what 2 or 3 segments on mental health, and so it just it just opened up for me other thoughts. So I appreciate it.
Velisa?
Again, I echo Chopper's sentiments and thanking you so much for just being so authentic and sharing your story. And I know that someone, even if it's just one person, has been touched. You have done your job. You have done what you have been called to do. And I appreciate that. And through your story and your sharing, it just reminds me of the support that others need. It's not that I forget about it, but we all need a reminding from time to time that sometimes people are trapped in their own stuff. And when we want them to behave a certain way because we don't understand, they can't. And good to it's important and it's vital that us as support remember that. And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, Clifton, I appreciate the work that you're doing with your podcast and giving back to others. I think giving back to others is going to be the key to your healing and just a reminder of what the work that you need to continue to do on a regular basis to be well. So I appreciate you for that and thank you for sharing your beautiful story.
It was an honor.
Well, that concludes our podcast, Your Point, My View, where every viewpoint matters. You can find us on all social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube. We're on video, y'all. As far as our audio goes, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, we're on there, so check us out. In the future, we look to have jump on sessions where we either jump on Facebook or IG Live or something to that nature. That way, if you have questions and you want to join in, whether it be follow ups or whatever the case may be, we can do that. And we look forward to hearing your input and responses. And our email is yourpointmyview@gmail.com if you have any additional questions. From the entire panel, Chopper, Velisa, and Tonya, and my boy Clifton, Smoothly, my name is Bobby. Have a blessed one, and remember to protect your peace.